Right now, as you are watching this video, there is a conversation happening in the highest levels of American power that could change everything for Nigeria. President Donald Trump has just issued a warning that should make every Nigerian sit up and pay attention. He is talking about possible military strikes on Nigerian soil if attacks on Christians do not stop. Yes, you heard that right. Military strikes in Nigeria by the United States of America. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt helpless watching the news, seeing violence happen in your country, and wondering why nothing seems to change? Have you ever questioned whether the people in power truly understand what ordinary citizens are going through? Because that is exactly what millions of Nigerians have been feeling for years now, and apparently that frustration has now reached all the way to the White House in Washington. This is not just another political story that does not affect you. This is about sovereignty, about security, about whether Nigeria can protect its own people, and about what happens when a superpower decides it has had enough of watching from the sidelines. Let me paint the picture for you. President Trump, during a press briefing today, addressed what he called systematic attacks on Christian communities in Nigeria. He specifically mentioned the northern regions and the Middle Belt, areas where violence has become almost routine. Churches burned, villages raided, families torn apart, people killed simply because of what they believe. And Trump said something that should send shivers down every spine in Aso Rock. He said if the Nigerian government cannot protect its Christian citizens, then America is prepared to take action. Now, when the President of the United States talks about taking action, he is not talking about sending a strongly worded letter. He is talking about the possibility of military intervention, drone strikes, targeted operations, the kind of action America has taken in countries like Yemen, Somalia, and Pakistan when it decided that local governments were not doing enough to stop terrorism. Think about what that means. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning to news that American drones have struck targets in Borno State or Plateau State. Imagine the Nigerian government having to explain to its citizens why foreign military forces are operating inside our borders. This is not some distant hypothetical scenario anymore. This is a real possibility that is being discussed right now. But here is where it gets really complicated, and this is something we need to be honest about. For many Nigerians living in those affected communities, the question is not about sovereignty or national pride. The question is about survival. When you have buried your family members, when you have watched your church burn, when you sleep every night wondering if armed men will attack your village, you stop caring about political theories and you start caring about one thing only, which is safety. This is the painful truth that makes this situation so difficult. On one hand, we have every right to be angry about the idea of foreign military operations on our soil. Nigeria is a sovereign nation. We have our own military, our own police, our own government. No country should be able to just decide to conduct strikes here without our permission. But on the other hand, and we have to be real about this, the security situation in parts of Nigeria has been absolutely devastating. Boko Haram has been terrorizing the northeast for over a decade. Bandits have made entire communities in the northwest unlivable. Farmers and herders have been clashing in the Middle Belt with increasing violence. The violence against Christian communities has been escalating. Just in recent weeks, there have been multiple reports of attacks, villages destroyed, churches set on fire, people displaced from their homes. These attacks have been attributed to various groups, including Boko Haram insurgents, armed bandits, and in some cases, conflicts between herders and farmers that have taken on religious dimensions. The Nigerian government has said repeatedly that it is working on the problem. Troops have been deployed, security operations have been launched, but here is the thing that frustrates so many people. Despite all these efforts, the attacks keep happening, people keep dying, communities keep living in fear. And that gap between what the government says it is doing and what people are actually experiencing on the ground, that gap is where all the trouble lives. If you are finding this analysis helpful and you want to stay updated on this developing story, please take a second to subscribe to this channel because we are going to be covering this situation closely and we need your support to keep bringing you this kind of in-depth reporting. From Washington's perspective, they have been watching this situation for years. The United States has actually been helping Nigeria fight terrorism. American military advisors are already in the country training Nigerian forces. But Trump's warning suggests that America's patience is running out. It suggests that the Trump administration does not believe enough progress is being made, and it is considering a more direct approach. This raises massive questions about Nigeria's relationship with the rest of the world. We are Africa's largest economy. We are the continent's most populous nation. But if we cannot secure our own territory, if we cannot protect our own citizens, what does that say about our standing in the world? And more importantly, what does it say about the quality of leadership we have had over the years? Because let us be clear about something, this situation did not develop overnight. The insecurity we are seeing today is the result of years of neglect, corruption, poor planning and failed policies. And now all of those failures have accumulated to the point where a foreign president feels comfortable threatening military action on our soil. That should make every Nigerian angry, not just at Trump, but at the leaders who let things get this bad in the first place. The Nigerian government has not yet officially responded to Trump's statement, but you can be absolutely certain that there are frantic meetings happening in Abuja right now. They are trying to figure out how to respond to this. Whatever they decide, it needs to be backed up by real action, not just words. What makes this even more complex is the religious dimension. Nigeria is almost evenly split between Christians and Muslims, and we have managed to coexist for generations despite our differences. But when international powers start framing this as a religious conflict, when Trump specifically talks about defending Christians, it risks deepening divisions within our own country. It risks making this about Christians versus Muslims when it should really be about Nigerians versus criminals and terrorists. So what can we, as ordinary Nigerians, do about all this? First, we need to reject any narrative that tries to divide us along religious lines. Your Muslim neighbor is not your enemy. Your Christian colleague is not a threat. The real enemies are the bandits, the terrorists, the corrupt officials, and the failed leaders who have created this mess. We need to stand together as Nigerians and demand better from our government. Second, we need to hold our leaders accountable. We need to use our voices, our votes, and our platforms to demand that security becomes the #1 priority. We need to demand transparency about how security funds are being spent. We need to demand results, not excuses. The next few days and weeks are going to be critical. Will the Nigerian government take decisive action that satisfies both its citizens and international observers? Will Trump actually follow through on his warning if he does not see the changes he wants? Nobody knows for sure, but what we do know is that the status quo is not sustainable. This is a moment of reckoning for Nigeria. It is a moment that tests our leaders, our institutions, and our unity as a people. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let us keep hoping and working for a better Nigeria.